Well, speaking of Michigan, I mean, they pick up a win over Ohio State, 73-65, snapping a 5-game losing streak. Martin Luther King Day matinee, that was cool. But the biggest story out of that was, I mean, the Fab Five finally back home all together. That was pretty cool. I'm sure you've seen the pictures of them posing there,
Yeah.
the five of them. I mean, it was pretty neat, and Gus Johnson on the call. It was a great thing, not working anymore. It was great to put the TV on and watch that game.
Yeah, a little afternoon college basketball at Crisler Center. I mean, a
On a
big
Monday.
game. I mean, Michigan obviously just been struggling like crazy this season. Juwan wasn't on the sidelines at the beginning of the season because of his heart surgery, and now they've had their starting point guard has a really weird suspension going on, and they've been losing games. So just a very odd season for the Wolverines. So that was one of those cool things. He beat the Buckeyes, who Ohio State's actually pretty good this year.
They are.
So that is just a big win. And then finally, it's been long overdue. The Fab Five, the first time they've all five together at a Michigan game. So it was a big deal. And it's one of those things like, however you feel about the banners coming down and their wins and everything being vacated, however you feel about that, they were as big a part of not just college basketball, sports, impact that they had on the sports world and really like just pop culture and all that kind of stuff as anything. So the Fab Five is iconic, not just because we're Michigan fans. So it is cool to see them hopefully maybe burying the hatchet a little bit and saying, hey, let's all just kind of move on. Whether the banners ever actually go back up, I guess we'll see. But it was really cool to see the Fab Five back together.
It's time. It's time to put it all behind us, in my opinion. I mean, you can only hold grudges for so long, right? And like you said, I mean, they're legendary. There's a legacy there. It's too bad they didn't win the Natty, but they were the talk of college basketball for those 2 years. There's no question about it. Yep. And like you said, even bigger in the sports world in general, not just college basketball.
Right. Yeah. I'm curious. So Ted, obviously I was a kid. I remember watching. I vividly remember watching them. I was a kid though. You were an adult watching them. So you obviously remember before Jared's time though. So like what your era, Jared, I mean, you obviously know who the Fab Five is. You've seen the 30 for 30 and everything else. Is the Fab Five to you like just kind of like, yeah, that's cool? Or like, do you know what I mean? Like, is the Fab Five, is it that cool to you? Or
if this reunion happened, let's say 4 years ago when Juwan had the program in a good spot, like this would have been a lot cooler. It's like of all the games for them to show up at Monday, I get it's Martin Luther King Day, whatever, Monday noon game, looked like maybe half the stands were full. Like I get it was Ohio State. It just felt like, where were you guys when we needed the effing recruits? Now this team sucks. And I appreciate they're back in town. I'm glad that they're finally like put their differences aside and seem to be friends now. I never have been a big like Fab Five guy. I don't know what it is. I never have like because of how I've seen these guys since then. Juwan was the goofy Miami Heat guy, basically riding LeBron's coattails. Jalen Rose is on TV every day spouting about who knows what. These other guys you don't even hear about. Chris Webber, not my favorite, color guy. It's just not, I don't like, they're not my era, Matt. Like I understand why you loved them, what you were a teenager or a little kid when they were making those championship runs. Like they probably were cooler than now. But looking back on it, see these documentaries, like, wow, they wore black socks. Like, okay, sweet. They wore black socks.
Baggy pants.
It's like, I mean, I don't. It's just I appreciate what they did. I see why they were so cool, so polarizing, but to me, like it just like they just seem kind of lame nowadays. I hate saying that. I feel like a hater.
Matt, like, this is the perfect generational thing. Perfect generational thing.
We've been waiting for 30 years for them to come back, and that's like what a couple tweets on Twitter is the only reason you even know that it was going on. It's like what? Like I don't know. Maybe it's on Michigan to make that a bigger deal, but like, why? What? It was just like so anticlimactic. It's like we're kind of done with you guys.
It was weird. I mean, not that admittedly, haven't been paying the closest attention to Michigan basketball this season. Not just because the team is down, but Michigan football and the Lions kind of have most of my attention right now. But yeah, I didn't see any announcement. And I wonder if that was on purpose. Yeah. Maybe they didn't want to make like a huge deal about it, but you would think because it is a big deal, you would think maybe at least a day before, a couple days before, hey, keep your eyes out for something big at Crisler Center. You know, I don't know, something. I didn't know until I saw Jalen Rose tweet out a picture of him and Chris Webber and before the game. And that was the big thing. It was always him and Webber were the ones that kind of had a falling out. And that's what was like keeping them separated, was their friendship kind of fell apart, and that Chris Webber didn't want to go back to Michigan because of stuff that happened with him. So it seems like they must have kind of buried the hatchet, and that's what brought it back together. But yeah, I didn't see any announcements about it. So, you know, that was kind of strange. But you saying that the Fab Five is lame.
Nowadays they are. I say it, man. I don't know. That's just me. Like, think like everything I laid out, what those guys have been doing my whole life.
Right.
It's like, I don't know. It's
the same as like we talk about the football thing. Ohio State will always to Ted be the biggest rival for Michigan, no matter what. But like for you, obviously it's Michigan State. Like it's just, you know, different things. Yeah, the Black Sox, it's everything they did. You've heard this 100 times. I'm not telling you anything you don't know. Everything they did was like different. The Black Sox, no one had ever done that. The baggy shorts, no one had ever done that. The five freshmen. Five freshmen, we say it all the time now. Calipari has it all the time. Right. 5 freshmen, never done before. The bald heads, like everything was just like new. The hip hop and, you know, just everything was different. So
reread the
book. I don't know. It's just something. The further you get away from it, in my opinion, like you look at their NBA careers, none of them, like Chris Webber was probably the best of them all. Never quite reached that like upper echelon where, you know, win a title. It's like, I don't know. It just feels like it's like they're grabbing onto. It'd be like Ted, like all of a sudden, like now, like, yep, I'm restarting the sports forum. Like they're getting back together, you know, whoever you used to do it with. It's like you're like grabbing on. It's like it's past. Yeah. I hate to say that. I'm a Michigan guy through and through. I love Michigan, but the Fab Five, it's lost its luster. It was something we wanted for so long, and then it's kind of like the more and more as time has passed, the less I gave a shit about it, and now it's just like, all right, that was cool. I don't know. I hate to say it. I feel bad because it is your team, Matt. Like I get why. Like I don't know. It's just I didn't see them play in college. I've seen what they've done since then.
Right.
And it makes me look back on that team and be like, well, that was kind of lame. But
so what about in 20 years if the same kid your age, but you're now, you know, 40, whatever, is saying this about John Beeline's teams and Trey Burke and those guys who never actually won a title, but, you know, none of those guys really had a great NBA career. Tim Hardaway's still out there playing. Will you be like, no, you didn't watch those John Beilein teams. You didn't see Trey Burke hitting those buzzer beaters and stuff, you know?
No, exactly. I wouldn't because I would. We just saw, I think they just like got together for a reunion, the 10-year reunion of that 2013 team last year.
Mm-hmm.
None of those guys have really gone. I mean, Tim Hardaway Jr. has been the best like pro of them all.
Right.
And I don't even think Mitch McGary was present at the reunion. I don't even know what he's up to nowadays, but
I think he's deep into weed. I think
entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
So no, nothing will ever change my opinion about those guys.
Yeah.
Unless now Trey Burke became like a TV talking head and like talks about that team like every day, which is what it felt like. Jalen Rose like did.
Yeah.
And it was just, you were knocked over your head about the Fab Five so many different times. They didn't win a title. It'd be like it's kind of funny, like the 2018 Michigan team. Imagine talking about them as much as we talk about the Fab Five. It's like, dude, they accomplished just as much. And not nearly the headaches. And those banners are gonna stay. It's just like, I don't know. I sound like a hater. I hate when I feel that way. I'm not in on Fab Five.
That's fair.
Well, like I said, I think that's why people tune in, because it is this whole generational thing is very interesting when we start getting it out of the weeds and bringing it on the table and discussing it. You know, hearing your opinion on this, I respect it, I understand it, but Matt, we lived it. We lived through Fab Five mania, man. It was unheard of, man. It was incredible.